this tutorial, we'll go over the year-end processing for MetalTrax software. When you do the year-end processing, you need to make sure that no one is in the GL module while you're doing the year-end processing. And it's also a good idea, if you're able to have nobody in MetalTrax at all while you're doing it. So especially while you're doing your backup, because otherwise there might be files that are in use by another MetalTrax user that you won't be able to copy when you do the backup. So let's go into MetalTrax. The first thing you need to do is to make sure that your GL is balanced and posted. What you do is you go into the Enter GL Transactions, and then you click on the Print button. When you do that, that'll bring up your GL unposted transactions. You'll want to check through those to make sure they look correct and are accurate. And then you need to make sure you go to the last page and make sure that there is a zero balance there. If it's out of balance, you'll need to go back and investigate to see why it's out of balance before you can continue with the year-end processing. So at this point, we look good. There's nothing there that is showing out of balance. So you can close the print preview, and then you'll click on the posting button in the Enter GL Transactions. We want to post everything that's not posted, so we'll click on the Post button. It goes through, posting is complete, so good. No problems, no error messages, or anything like that. It's a good idea. You can do your GL report, but we won't do it for this tutorial. So we'll just say no. All right. Now, the end of year processing program should be run only after all work for accounting periods 1 through 12 is complete. So when you go into your accounting periods here, you have 1 through 12 and 13 through 24. So all the state range from January 1st to December 31st you need to make sure you have all your information complete for that time frame. This includes the printing of financial statements and detailed trial balance reports for periods 1 through 12 and the entry posting of any adjusting entries. Prior to running end of year processing, verify that periods 1 through 12 are balanced. This can be determined by verifying that the balance printed at the bottom of each trial balance report is 0. The next step that you want to do is make sure you completely back up all MetalTrax data files before you run the end of year processing. I can't emphasize enough how important that is, because if there's ever any problems or difficulties in the year-end processing, as long as you have a good backup, then everything can be rolled back and we can start over again. But if you don't have a good backup, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. So let me show you how you can do that. If you click on down at the bottom, there's usually the File Explorer, which looks like a file folder. If you click on that, you go to wherever your MetalTrax information is stored, your data. It's going to be different on everybody's system, so you just need to find out either from your IT personnel if you don't know where your data is stored. First thing you want to do is right-click on your mouse, and that brings up this menu. You go to New, and then Folder. And then you name that folder whatever you want so that you can recognize it. I'm going to name it MetalTrax Data Backup. Then you'll go to your MetalTrax data, open up that file folder, and then at that point you can go up here next to the name so you can select all of your files. And usually I don't like to do the images or any of the logos or anything, because that just takes up a lot of space and they're not needed. So basically you start at the A's, and then it'll take you all the way down to the files that start with the Z, of course, which in this case is zip codes. So we have all that. So then if you right click on your mouse, you can go to, oops, let's do that again. So we have all those. We're going to take out images, logos. Right click, copy, and then go back up to the file folder you made. That's your backup folder. Open it up, right click on the mouse and paste. That, depending upon the size of your files and everything like that, could take a minute or so. Fortunately, the sample database that I have isn't too big, so it goes pretty quick. And this is at this point when you're copying that, if you still have MetalTrax open, you might get an error message because of a file folder that it can't copy because it's being in use by another MetalTrax user. So that will remind you that you need to have everyone out of the system if that error comes up. So great, now we have a good copy in our MetalTrax data backup folder of all the MetalTrax files. So we can close that and continue on with our end of year processing. Of course, store this backup securely. It may be necessary to restore from this backup should you have any problems running the end of year processing program. As we were looking at earlier, MetalTrax provides 24 accounting periods, and that's the only ones that can be open at any one time period, is 2 years. End of year processing can be run at any time after you have verified that all work is complete for periods 1 to 12. Keep in mind that you cannot make corrections to periods 1 to 12 balances and/or print financial statements or any other general ledger reports for periods 1 to 12 after you have run end of year processing. For example, if period 1, in this case, is January 1st, 2020 through January 31st, 2020, you will not be able to print a balance sheet for January 2020 after running end of year processing. For your information, running the end of year processing program in the general ledger module will perform each of the following tasks. Transaction detail for accounting periods 1 to 12 will be deleted, and the transactions in period 1 or 13 through 24 will not be affected. The retained earnings account will be updated with the net income or loss for periods 1 through 12. Accounting period dates will be updated. Accounting period dates for periods 13 through 24 simply slide over into the period 1 through 12 position, and new dates for periods 13 through 24 are generated. Please note, the end of year processing program automatically changes your accounting period dates as one of its normal procedures. Never change the accounting period dates manually. If the accounting period dates are not properly updated by this program, or if you need to change your fiscal year end, contact the MetalTrax Technical Support Department. Also, if you encounter any problems while running the end of year processing program, contact MetalTrax Technical Support Department immediately. Do not attempt to restart the end of year processing program unless you are specifically instructed to do so. So please remember that. Do not run the end of year processing twice. Only do it once. And if you have problems, make sure you contact MetalTrax Technical Support. Okay, at this point, we're going to go ahead and run the end of year processing. That's in the miscellaneous section of the general ledger. We go in here. Once again, basically, it's going to remind you the same thing that I've been telling you. This program is to be run at the end of your fiscal year when closing your books. This program will delete all GL posted transactions that are dated on or before the period 12 ending date, create balance sheet balanced forwards, update last year comparative amounts, update the retained earnings account, and change the accounting period dates. Once again, just reminding you, and that's the most important, you should carry out a complete backup of all data prior to using this program. This backup should be retained should you need it for any reason, such as for tax-related purposes. Once you run the end-of-year processing program, it cannot be reversed. If you have any sort of problem, you must restore your data from a backup. And then it says, do you want to run end-of-year processing? And we are ready, so we're going to go ahead and say yes. Are you sure you want to proceed? Once again, it's making sure that you're not doing it twice or that you definitely want to do it. Of course, I don't have very much information, so it went very quickly. End of year processing has completed. So that's great. No problems, no errors. Once you have run your end of year processing, you're going to want to reset your year-to-date accumulators. And you do that by going into the go to the miscellaneous tab. And then under the setup/miscellaneous section is the reset year-to-date accumulators. And you want to put a check mark next to each of the ones you want to do. And of course, at the year end, you want to definitely do all of them, because you can do this throughout the year if you need to for different things, or if you're instructed to by MetalTrax technical support. But in this case, since we're doing it for after the year-end processing, you want to check all the boxes. Then you put in the dates for that year where it was for 2020. So we have 01/01/2020 to 12/31/2020. And then our new current year is going to be 01/01/2021 to 12/31/2021. So I'll double check that, looking at it all, correct branch warehouse dates, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. All right. Then we go ahead, click on the reset button, and you can see down here the progress bar. Year-to-date values have been reset for the following modules: AR, AP, inventory, and sales forecast. So good. So once this utility has been run, it can be run again and again without harm. The utility simply uses your date range information and scans through the posted GL periods, accumulating the actual totals. Then at this point, you want to go back and make sure that in your general ledgers, you have the accounting periods opened up that you want to have opened, the correct ones. See, now when we look back here, instead of being 2020, periods 1 through 12 is the year 2021. Periods 13 through 24 is 2022. And then different companies do it different ways. Some companies only open up a month at a time for accounting periods. Others do a year, others do 6 months, whatever you want to do. In this case, I want to have all of my current year, which is going to be 2021, open. And then I have all my next year, in this case, in this example, 13 through 24 are closed, because I don't want anyone to be putting information in a year that's previous to what we have. So everything worked out well and smoothly, and hopefully yours will go the same. If you have any problems or difficulties, or if you have any questions, make sure you contact the MetalTrax software support team, and especially do it before you have any problems or issues. If you have any questions, make sure you give us a call so that we can answer it before you run end of year instead of trying to fix it afterwards. So thank you for listening.